What's up everybody, it's me Troi and I'm back again with another video, and I want to say thanks to everybody who liked, commented, and subscribed in the recent months and years to my channel. But anyway, this video of course is my cycle 2 video, which is, y'all, we're not gonna get into that, but my cycle 2, and it's gonna be dedicated to the books that I read for my, to pump up or to complete my Goodreads challenge. So these are all, most of these are mysteries. Y'all know that's girl, hold up, you know that's it, that's what goes, that's my channel, you know, that's, I'm just saying. But it is dedicated to my mystery girls, because I just absolutely love when someone, which, you know, some of you guys know who you are, when you comment and say that, you know, you've read a book that I've talked about, that I've spoken about regarding a mystery series. And I love that, because I remember at one time when, before I was on BookTube, I used to go to YouTube, I used to try to look up books and individuals talking about the books that I really wanted to read, and they were not there. But girl, you could buy like 50 books on the Divergent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that ain't shame Divergent, but I'm just saying, like we doing something. I'm like, I gotta do it my way. That's all I'm saying. So for my mystery girls, the first book that I'm showing is that I read in the month of July. It was Rita Brown's Murder on the Prowl. You know, Prowl, girl, Prowl. But, you know, I was giving y'all some kind of tiger tease there. But anyway, this is book number 5 in Rita Mae Brown's Miss Murphy and T. Tucker mystery series. Now, you guys know that I absolutely love this series. I'm almost to the point where I want to knock this tripod down to let you know how much I love this series, but I'm not going to do it. In this particular book, somebody is sending out prank obituaries inside of the local newspaper. So people are getting up in the morning, girl, the girls, the boys, the queens, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, they're getting up in the mornings, they're getting their Cheerios, they're getting their toast, they're getting the little, you know, the little eggs inside of the little cup that they're doing over in Europe. I think, I don't know, I haven't watched Doctor Who in a while, and that's not shade. And, you know, girl, they're getting their Folgers in their cup. So they're opening up the newspaper in the morning, and they're seeing an obituary of one of the individuals who is probably their neighbors or whatnot, who has been killed or who has died sometime during the night. But of course, this individual is still alive. But the catch is, later on down the plot, that person is found murdered, and that is where the trio of companions have to come together to solve exactly who is pulling this prank and why are they murdering these individuals. And next I read book number 6, which is Cat on the Scent. Now this, of course, it still takes place in the same small town of Corset, Virginia. And with that Virginia statement, you're probably thinking, you know, lush lawns of black woods and all that kind of stuff. Girl, I don't know, I ain't never been to Virginia, but I know clearly if you think of Virginia, you can think of a reference regarding the Civil War, and that is exactly where this book sort of jumps off at, because the townsfolk does an annual reenactment of the Civil War somewhere on the battlefield where it was at one time. Girl, my history ain't at that great right now, but my point is that during this reenactment, one of the individuals is actually found shot fatally and in reality. So the next book I read was The Moon Tells Secrets by Savanna Wells. You guys remember me hauling this back in April. So what ends up happening in The Moon Tells Secret is that there's this African American woman who was once married to a Native American guy, you know, husband and wife, yada yada yada. They ended up having a child. The child's name is Davy. Now, before Davy reached, I think 10 or 11, some sort of earlier age than he is now, which is, I think it was about he was about 14 or so in the book. Girl, I'm exaggerating, like I read this back in July, so it'll take me a moment. But his father was murdered by this creature called the Skinwalker. Now, look, go ahead and stick with me, girl. This is paranormal romance, girl, you know, so, you know, stick with me on this. But yes, this Skinwalker is a creature from Native American lore who has the ability to turn into different types of animals, and including humans. So in the course of Davy's father being killed, him and his mother decide that they're gonna live with his Davy's father's relatives, particularly his mother, or I think it was his grandmother. His grandmother is a witch doctor of some sort, or a shaman, to be more specific, as it regards, you know, the Native American backdrop of this story. And she does spells or whatever to sort of, you know, divert the Skinwalker from detecting Davy. And the reason she does that is because Davy is actually a Skinwalker himself. Unfortunately, the grandmother ends up dying, so that leaves Rain and Davy to, girl, they booked it. They had to pack up their toiletries and their tents and their Bush's baked beans and all that stuff, and they had to get the hell out of town because they didn't have those spells to protect them. So they were subsequently on the run from the Skinwalker who was trying to kill Davy. Is they end up in a different location where Rain, of course, with all of her guards up, runs into a man named Cade. Now Cade Cade is an individual who has a story similar to Rain, in which his wife was also murdered by an animalistic creature, which of course is, you know, averting to the fact that it was a skinwalker also. Cade's wife was a researcher who was looking into the legends of the skinwalker, and that cost her her life, essentially. But the two come together to pair, and they start the budding romance or whatnot, and that's really where the gist of the story is. And these two individuals with these sort of traumatic experiences that has a paranormal element to it decided to come together to foster this relationship that they can use to protect Davy with, and it worked. It really did work. However, when I was reading this book, I was like, girl, when are they gonna pull out the bags, the incense? Because I keep incense. When are they gonna pull out the like where is the thrills at? The thrill is gone. The thrill is gone, in favor of the romance. Now, I will say that I did enjoy the book in general, but while I was reading it at the beginning, I had to keep telling myself that it was a romance. So just to be clear, while all those paranormal elements are present and they only go so far, the book is a romance novel. So next by my mystery girls, I read Track of the Cat by Barr. This is the first book in her Anna Pigeon mystery series or crime fiction series. Girl, I think last time in my haul video I called her Anna Penguin. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, like why would I call her that? But anyway, I really did love this book. Like, at this point in time, as I make this VTO, sister girl, I'm trying to tell y'all right now that I've discovered something that is just, I'm all into at this point. I cannot believe this book sat on my Amazon wish list for over 3 freaking years. In the famous words of Bernadette Cooper, don't slap me because I'm not in the mood. Don't slap me because I'm not in the mood. So before I even get into the actual story and why I like this so much, let's just talk a little bit about the protagonist, because y'all know what the female protagonist is what I live for. Like, if you're a male, I ain't got time, basically. But anyway, Anna Pigeon, I want to say that as a protagonist, her narrative, I found her in her narrative, or it was in third person, but I found her mostly kind of aloof and maybe a little standoffish. But there are parallels to her and her story and her situation in this book, because before she became a park ranger, she was a New Yorker girl. Like, she was in New York, hustling, bustling girl. What y'all do in New York? Y'all get like with Starbucks and stuff? Like, I don't know. I've never been to New York, but I hope to get there one day. But she's a New Yorker through and through, and she had a career and everything. But she also had a husband, and he ended up murdered. Well, I won't say he was murdered, I can't really remember, but he was violently killed. And what happens is Anna decides to change her life around and try to pursue her true passion, which is basically the rescuing of animals. So she becomes a park ranger, and the story opens up with her in the Texas backcountry, the Guadalupe Mountains National Park, that's really interesting that these books take place in real factual national parks. But she's in this national park trying to find the tracks of the mountain lion activity that's taking place. I would say a project, but girl, I don't know the right terminology as it regards a park ranger. Even after reading this book, I have to go back. But while she's on her little journey or whatnot, tracking these mountain lion activities, she runs across the body of one of her colleagues. This girl was in the bushes with vultures up. Don't be eating while watching this video. So upon first blush, it looks like that her colleague was murdered by a mountain lion. But in fact, Anna, the intelligence of Anna, knows that it is just not quite true. As she sort of probes around the body, discovers little incidents or clues relating to that fact that it was actually something a little bit more human to have caused this murder. But the problem that Anna has is that the people of the national park, they want to track down the mountain lions and kill the lion that murdered their the colleague. But Anna is so swift, is so sure that it was human hands that murdered this woman, that is where her story jumps off for her to uncover exactly who was behind this murder. And that is what she does in this book, and it was off the chain. I really did like this book. I just did, girl. Let me just point out the glinty little shiny things that made this book work for me. One was the setting. Off wonderful, just wonderful the way Nevada Barr, described Texas backcountry. You're reading along the passages and she's describing how the sun soaks up and pulls the moisture out of Anna's back, how the dirt is crunching up under her, her ranger boots, all that stuff. Wonderful. She pulled me in right away with how she described the setting. And I think that, like I wrote in the blog post, that was unique to me because when in normal mysteries or hardboiled series, there's a variety of places that the writer puts their characters, places in which you can draw references from like a grocery store, an office. But how often is it that you can have an author who can pull you into something totally, almost, but not quite alien to you, such as a national park? But added to that, I really love the fact that Miss Nevada Barr was like creative when it came to murder. So it wasn't, I know it sounded kind of twisted, but she really used the Texas backcountry to issue her murders. And I just really had an allure to that because it was creative. There was one individual who was knocked unconscious, thrown in a tent, had the tent zipped up, and a tank of snakes thrown on top of him, and he's thrashing through the tent with these rattlesnake vipers biting his ass up, and he's gone. But then it's Anna who comes along to investigate the scene using her top ranger intelligence. And I just loved how careful this character was, how careful and knowledgeable Anna was as it regards her surroundings. And that is exactly what saved her in the end, because she knew her stuff. And I just loved that. I loved it. I can't get enough of that. But as it regards Anna's character herself, like I said, I did not warm up to her immediately, but I did not give up on her. But I think the thing that made me really appreciate Anna as a character is that Nevada Barr did give her a sad backstory, regarding the loss of her husband. So, she that changed her. Essentially, that changed her. But the thing about it is that she was the only character who really cared about the individuals who died in this case. And that determination was what drove her. And I really just liked her as a character. She was very determined to solve these mysteries, not only for the, the respect of the mountain lion population, but for the respect of the individuals who lost their lives. And girl, let me tell you, at the end of this book, when she found out who killed these people, Anna was just ruthless. Like, her justice was she was ruthless.